The Virgin Rail boss, Sir Richard Branson, was in fighting mood today, telling a committee of MPs of his fury at the franchising system, which rejected his bid to run the West Coast Main Line.
He's mounting a legal challenge to the decision, but today he got his say, as did the boss of the winning franchise, First Group. Both men were at Westminster to argue their case. Our correspondent, Alison Mackenzie, had a ringside seat. Alison, how did it go?
Well, it's always something of a celebratory event when Richard Branson arrives here at Westminster. There were fans of his outside, but of course inside the dry committee of the transport parliamentarians who wanted various questions. Of course, he's been running the West Coast Main Line since 1997. He's doubled passenger numbers and miffed, to say the very least, that he was pipped at the post as part of the franchising bid by the rival group First. So in front of MPs he used words like farcical, it was all chaotic, and he put his mind to what was going through the mind of the First Group when he bid for that winning result.
Let's put in this enormous figure, which when you actually then, if you sit down as a committee and calculate it properly, you'll see that they physically can't get the people on the trains to make that figure. And let's hope we get away with it. And you know, somehow they managed to get away with it.
So quite strong words. He wasn't pulling any punches, accusing the company of making unrealistic, uncosted measures in their win. But of course the First Group were quick to reply, and this is what the boss there had to say.
Let me say this. I would concede that since we are committing to continue to grow the railway throughout its life, and they are committing to allow it to just flatline for 3 years, we are taking on more. And if you view taking on more as taking on risk, then it's more risk.
So, Alison, both sides clearly unhappy. How damaging is all of this for the government?
Well, of course, it was a Conservative government that introduced the franchising system back in the 1990s. It was described by one critic as something of a poll tax on wheels. Would it come back to haunt them? And it does seem that way. And of course, Richard Branson is now going to challenge it in the courts. We took the view of this rail expert.
This is the biggest crisis to hit the rail franchising system since it was invented in the mid-1990s. It is unparalleled. Nobody has ever taken a franchise decision to the High Court before. We are in uncharted waters, and the DfT, I suspect, is having to duck and dive along with the rest of the industry.
Well, the boss, the new Transport Secretary Patrick McLaughlin, he'll be ahead of these MPs on Wednesday. We'll hear what he has to say, but of course it's not good for this government trying to push through this rail franchising system.
Alison, thanks for that report. Other news.